This is my speedy spiky ball session to show you my favourite spiky ball movements for upper body. So this is great for anyone who really suffers from tension around the neck, shoulders and upper back, particularly things like tension headaches or maybe just tightness from sitting at your desk, carrying grandchildren, breastfeeding. We can all get quite a lot of tension around the upper shoulders and back. So this is a really nice way to help ease that. You can get different spiky balls. You might even find a tennis ball is quite nice for this, or you can get smaller sort of rubber massage balls as well. So do have a play. A lot of it is preference, and sometimes actually a smaller ball for the upper body can be quite nice because it can get sort of into the smaller parts between our spine and our shoulder blade. So if you're using a ball and it does just feel too much, maybe explore slightly different options. But for the first bit, we're going to come onto the mat. However, at the end, I will give you a standing variation, just in case you do prefer to do it against the wall. Can also make it a bit easier to get into your day because you don't feel like you're having to get your mat out and get onto the floor. You might just stand and do it against your wall as 5 minutes break from your desk. Okay, but otherwise we're going to start on our mat. And a head block is also preferable sometimes as well, or a cushion, just something to support your head. If you haven't got one to hand now, don't worry, you can use your arm and I'll show you how to do that. But otherwise, we're going to bring that head block in and we're going to come into a lying position. Now to start with, we're going to take the ball under our left upper trapezius muscle. And I don't expect you to know where that is. But if I sit back up, it's in that fleshy part where we often say we hold a lot of tension. So somewhere roughly halfway between the base of the neck and the tip of the shoulder, and just a little bit lower, sort of into the fleshy part of that muscle. Okay, so we're going to pop that in and come down to rest. So now you should feel that that's why you might need a head cushion, because otherwise our head can drop back quite a lot. If you haven't got a cushion, your right hand can simply come behind your head, and sometimes that's enough to support your head in that position. Knees and feet can bend, and we can just hold some pressure there. And now, as we move through these movements and positions, at any point you can move your ball. Obviously, you might have slightly different tension and muscles to me, so you can play around with the position. It's not a fixed right or wrong here. Key things are, though, is that obviously if it's really painful, you might be doing too much or be in slightly the wrong place. It shouldn't be making you grimace or sort of wince and pull a face. Equally, you want to stay off pure bone. So if it feels very hard and bony, you might just, again, want to change position. But otherwise, we're going to bring that left arm up towards the ceiling. You can keep your hand behind your head, or I'm going to take mine away, seeing as I've got my head cushion. And we're going to start to draw a nice smooth circle with that left arm. Not too big to start with. We're just gently circling around shoulder height. Good. Couple more, seeing how that feels, and we can start to work a little bit bigger. Good. I'm just going to move my ball in a little bit more. There, yeah, that's better. As I can feel a bit more tension now, a bit more release. So now, although we're not moving the ball, we're moving the muscles over the ball, and that's going to give us that release. So we take a pause, and now we're going to sweep the arm across the body and then out to the side. Good. Just nice and smooth, nice and slowly, not forcing anything, but we're just exploring those movements and see how it feels as we move around the ball. Good. Pausing and then taking it up and down, so more into our toy soldier arm, coming down towards the hip, and then up over the head, if we feel we can. Especially as we get towards the top of that shoulder flexion, we might start to feel more tension into the ball. So try and breathe into that. You can always take a little pause and then come away. So we're trying to move through it But again, just go gently, especially if you're new to spiky ball work. We don't want to make ourselves sore. It just should feel like a nice release, almost like a massage. Good. Well done. One more. Good work. Okay, now we're going to move the ball. So now we're going to move it, if I turn to the side, more around the back of our shoulder. So thinking about our rotator cuff muscles, a group of shoulder muscles that wrap around the back of the shoulder, we're going to place them in there. So it should feel like a sort of a soft bit behind the head of your humerus. And we're going to roll it back in there. Good, so it should feel like you've got enough pressure onto that ball to keep it nice and still, and we're going to do similar movements. So we start with those small circles, keeping right arm relaxed as well, and see how it feels. Might feel a bit different now as we continue to circle, and then we can change direction, taking it the other way, and we can also start to work outwards into bigger circles. See how that feels, working on a nice smooth circle. Good. If you feel like you're losing the ball or just need a reposition, you can move it a little bit higher, a little bit lower, a little bit further in. Just play with that ball. But then we're coming across the body, might feel easier, and then we're going to open. So you might start to feel a bit more tension coming into the ball as we bring a bit more weight laterally and move those muscles into the ball. But good, nice and smooth. Use that breath. As it gets quite strong, you might want to hold your breath. Try not to let that happen. But good, just keeping it nice and smooth. Well done. Hand points up to the sky, stacking over shoulder, and we go forwards and backwards. Good, seeing how that feels, keeping spine on neutral, back might want to arch, ribs might want to lift. Try not to let that happen, but just gently releasing. And if these feel particularly good for you, any particular component of today, you can spend longer doing these movements. I'm moving through them because I want to get through different exercises and show you what you can do with the ball. But you can take more time at home, do them for longer. There's no set time. It's really until you feel like those muscles have just started to relax and release. Okay, but last one. Well done. Okay, we're going to come on to our last point. So I'll get you to roll onto your side and I'll just show you again where it's going. So now we're trying to place it more between the center of your spine. So you'll be able to feel those bony bits in the center of your back and the border of your scapula, the border of your shoulder blade that will run laterally to that. So you can either sort of reach behind you or back up here, and you're trying to place the ball in that channel somewhere roughly between your spine and your shoulder blade, okay? And we can rest back onto it, taking your head onto your block or your cushion, using that right hand as well if you need. And now we will be a little bit tipped off to our right, and that's okay. Just try and soften and create neutral as much as you can, but we will be on a lean, okay? If it's too much, you can just take a little bit of tension off as well. We want it to feel like a good release, but not making us pull a face and wince, okay? So good. And you can also play with the position as we move. So you might move the ball a little bit higher, you might move it a little bit lower. Okay, but then from here, we're going to first with our lift and lower. So we're bringing the arm down to the side, down towards the hip, and then coming up. So for me, this feels like a much stronger position. I can feel much more tension in this part, and it might be the same for you. So if that's the case, just maybe start with a smaller movement and just go gently. But good, again, focusing more on paraspinal muscles here, muscles that run the length of the spine, but then over that we've also got lots of other muscles and connective tissue. So we've got our rhomboids as well that go from spine to shoulder blade.
Here's the plot synopsis, Blade.
Siri is talking to me. But good, couple more up and down. And then we can also move the ball as well. So I'm just going to move my ball up a little. See how it feels there. And we can do a few more up and down here. Or again, we might take it into circles. Starting small, or maybe you go straight into bigger circles, depending how it feels. Opening up that shoulder. Coming across the body as well. That will move your shoulder blade further out, away from the ball. So stretching into some of those muscles that run over the ball. So that might feel quite nice. And then you can open out, taking the shoulder blade back. Good, you can always change direction. Well done. We're going to just come up a little bit higher again. We're still in that same channel running between the spine and shoulder blade, but we're just moving into different parts of those muscles. You might find certain parts are tighter than others. So we're just trying to hunt down those tight bits, those stiff bits, and see where we can really make a difference. Yeah, good. Shoulder movements should be nice and smooth. We don't want a clunky shoulder. So if it is really clunking or catching, maybe make the movement a little bit smaller. Slow it down, work on that control. Good, and we should start to feel it easing a bit more now. Definitely doesn't feel as tight as when I first came into this spot. Well done. We take a pause. We're going to roll off the ball and just lie. So you might just bring your hands to your side, let the ball go, and just see how it feels. And hopefully you might notice a little bit more heaviness into that left shoulder. I feel like my left shoulder is just resting a little bit closer towards the floor now, like it's a little bit more just heavier and open. So we're going to do the same on the other side. Okay, starting how we did before. So now we're coming into our upper trapezius muscles, the fleshy part, somewhere roughly between the base of the neck and the tip of the shoulder. Still using my head cushion, or you might go left hand behind your head now. Whatever to make you feel most comfortable here. Should feel like you can relax the neck and upper body. Okay, we start bringing the arm up to shoulder height. And we start with smooth, small circles. Let's see how the right side feels. Good, as we go into our small circles, circling each way so we can change direction. And if that ball doesn't feel quite right, you can just give it a little move, coming down or maybe in or out a little more. You'll know when you're in the right spot. And we can work our circles bigger. And when you're ready as well, we can come across the body and then opening out to the side. Good, going to keep that going. My right side feels a little bit tighter actually compared to my left, but it is my dominant arm. So that might be why. But good, just do what you can. If it's really tough, maybe just go smaller with your movements. Give it a chance to ease, don't force it. Keep that breathing going. Just trying to calm the nervous system. Good. When you're ready, we can go into our shoulder flexion, coming up and down like our toy soldier arms, nice and smooth as we come up into the ball, and then we gently lower. You can take a little pause at the top if that feels good. But we're not holding for too long. We're just coming in and out of it. Trying to move those muscles over the ball to get that release. Good. Well done. Okay, so that's point 1. And then we move to point 2. So now we're going to roll it to the back of the shoulder. So just behind the head of the humerus into that soft point. Using your head cushion, or your hand might still go behind your head. Similar movements. So we start with small circles, which might not feel too bad to start with, but then as we work out a little bit more, we might get a bit more traction onto the ball. Good, keeping it smooth, keeping it slow. But this is quite a mindful exercise, really. It's often quite hard to think about other things while we're here. So it's quite good to help you switch off. Maybe if you've had a busy day, work is quite stressful, or you've got things on your mind. It can be quite a nice way just to, round off your day, help release tension physically in your body, but also mentally as well. Okay, working those circles bigger if you haven't already. And then we're coming across the body and then opening out. And that opening out might be quite tough now. Might feel quite heavy into the ball, but just do what you can. You might always play with that ball position, just bringing it in underneath the shoulder a little bit more, or maybe a little bit lower. As we come a bit lower, you might get into a little bit more of your latissimus dorsi muscles. Big muscles, they're our pull-up muscles. So you might notice maybe you're a little bit tighter into those. Good, and then we finish up and down with that toy soldier arm. Good, keeping it smooth. Well done. Okay, we're moving on to our last point along the medial border of your shoulder blade and your spine. So you can always maybe just roll on the side or sit up if you need to just reposition and see how it feels. Now, I should have said on the other side, you don't want to come too low with this one. It should mainly be in upper back around your shoulder blade. You don't want to be really going any lower than bra strap. Keep it, like I say, towards that shoulder blade. But okay, we are a little bit tipped now, but try and recenter yourself as much as you can, bringing tension into the ball as you feel you can. And just like before, we might start circles again, smooth and small, seeing how it feels. Good, trying to breathe into it, go gently. This is my tightest spot, so I'm just going to go slowly. But we can work out with those circles as that muscle allows and that tension. And then playing with those movements, coming across the body, feeling a bit more of a stretch of that muscle underneath, and then we can open out the shoulder blade or draw in. That's it. And often, unsurprisingly, we don't think about our shoulder blades very often moving around our body, but they are sort of quite a mobile joint. They're really important and should move quite freely around our rib cage, but especially if all of our muscles in that upper body get quite tight due to demands on the body, sport, carrying, breastfeeding, things like that, desk work, stress, can all feed into that tightness. And then it can really make those muscles or those movements quite difficult for our shoulder blade. And that can in turn impact on posture and our shoulders. But okay, we've done across the body and out. Now we're going to come up and down. Yeah, good, but I can feel it releasing now. So then I might move my ball a little bit higher. See how that one feels. Good. And then like before, just moving through it, circles, across the body, out to the side or up and down. Whatever gives you that best release. Nice and smooth. Yeah, good. Not too bad as I've worked a little bit higher now. It was definitely a little bit lower that was tough. But okay, last spot. I'm going to bring it even higher, still in that channel between my shoulder blade and my spine. And last little bit, just evening us up. Yeah, good. Can feel I'm a bit tighter here now. Starting with small circles, coming across the body. This movement really seems to help me here, where I'm getting the muscles to work and stretch. Yeah, good. Keep breathing, keep it smooth. Working in the range that feels good for you. We're almost there. And then up and down, taking this one slow. Keep ribs connected. Back might want to arch and ribs might flare. Don't let that happen. But well done. You might keep going here. I'm just going to come up. Or actually, I will stay down on the mat for a second. If you are stopping with me, it is nice just to take a moment and compare our sides. So you might just take the ball out and just soften into the shoulders and just compare sides. So again, hopefully right side is even and a little bit more like the left was now. Relaxing, feeling length into the collarbones, into the chest, and arms might feel nice and heavy now, hopefully. But if you do want to stay on the mat and do a little bit more, you can. I'm just going to come up and show you the alternative against a wall or a door. Sometimes, like I said in the beginning, it's just a little bit easier to fit it into your day because you can just stand up and do it quickly. Also, if you just get a little bit uncomfortable, but maybe in your neck or on the floor, or you can feel like you can get a bit more body weight sometimes behind it against the wall or door. Similar principles though, and still your key 3 points. Into your upper trapezius muscles, your rotator cuff and back of your shoulder, and then into the medial border of your shoulder blade here. So same principles apply, but you're just going to press it into that part of your sort of upper trapezius muscle and create a little bit of pressure and backward lean in towards the door. But now you might use a little bit more movement. So you might sort of roll that ball around to start with, but then you can come to a stop and we can still add in those arm movements. So you can still create your circles, you're crossing the body and up and down. You might do both arms just to help you be a little bit more symmetrical or just focus on one. Yeah, and we will still move through the same 3 points, back of the shoulder, but again, you can turn onto that side a little bit more, using as much pressure as you need, and you can add more movement. So against the wall, you can feel like you can roll a little bit more, but then you might still hold and work into those arm movements. Last little bit, moving into that channel against the medial border of your shoulder blades. And now you might bend into your knees for this one, because this one is quite nice to squat up and down that wall. So we're running up and down that channel, up and down those paraspinals that run down the spine. And this is quite a nice one to get a little bit higher up towards your neck. I wouldn't go into the curve of your neck, but you can work a little bit higher than maybe you did on the floor, as long as that feels okay for you. Good. And then finding a spot, holding it, we can still add those arm movements, or you might work across the body or into those circles. But just gives you a slight alternative and just play around with it. See what you prefer, see what gives you the best release. But I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a go and let me know what you think.